Dr. Malone, Joe Zarzaur. We've taken a little bit of sabbatical from the COVID updates, and purposely didn't think it was worthwhile to talk about COVID anymore for the last couple, 3 weeks. But it seems like numbers are seeming to go up in the state. The one that caught my eye this week was the percent positive, I guess. Went from 0.5, it was 0.3, 0.7, 0.5 last week, 0.8 last week, to 4% yesterday. It's back down to 3.5%. And at the, it seemed, on May 29th, this thing goes back a month. On May 29th, it was 2.5% positive of those tested. What was the percent positive at the height? Well, we weren't getting anybody tested, I guess. So.
Well, yeah. Well, so the back in I guess the first part of April, the amount of tests per day was maybe 150 to 200 a day, and the percent positivity was hovering like 8 and 10%.
Oh, okay.
So
this is this is half of that. But what I'm saying is, last week when everybody first came out of the quarantine-like state we were in, the testing was last week, I think, was the same as it was this week. And it looks like the percent positive has tripled. Am I wrong by saying that?
No, you're right. And, we're testing there, depending on the day, between 200, 300, 400, and it was 1 to 2%. And now here we are testing the same rough numbers, depending on the day you look at, and we're 3% for the last 3 days at least.
Now, I don't know how much any of the rest of this data means, right? Because you got to factor in, I guess, because if you look at the number of positive cases, everybody says, well, wait a minute, we're testing more people. So number of positive cases means nothing or means little because you're testing more people now. But if you look at the number of positive cases, that is also going up substantially from last week. Am I wrong by saying that?
No, you're right.
The entire week last week, we had less than we had yesterday.
Yeah.
So, is this Escambia County? We had 22 positive cases.
Yeah, and that was reported at 10 o'clock this morning.
Yeah,
so
and
20.
We're going to link, I guess, to this right later. This document.
Yeah. Do you want? Yeah, and I can share it during this if you like as well.
Yeah, throw it up there real quick so we can. The people.
Yeah, sure.
Looking at.
Yeah, and this is what we're looking at, folks, and right in the middle here. So this is what Joe's been referring to as far as the last 2 weeks trend of tests per day and percentage positivity. And I guess the last, the 9th, 10th, and the 11th are the ones that we're looking at where things have jumped pretty quickly and stayed high. We've had little blips, I guess, for lack of a better term, where, 10 or 11, but to have 3 days in a row in double digits, that's not great news.
Right.
What I think is a little bit reassuring is if you look down here, the percentage of daily visits going to ERs in the county here, the people that are going in with symptoms associated with what you would think would be the virus, the percentage of those and the absolute number of those is actually staying down right now. So what I don't want to see is, a handful of days from now where those graph lines are going upward and these people are positive for the infection and also feeling poorly enough to go to an ER, which means that they're also feeling potentially poorly enough to be admitted. This right here is reassuring in the face of the increased numbers, but I hope it stays down. And I think everybody hopes it stays down.
What about the number of ICU beds? And do we have figures on that or not for Escambia County?
We do. Yeah, we do. And I can pull them here real quick. Last I saw, there was plenty of hospital beds and there was plenty of ventilators, but I can give you a number. They've been publishing that as well. Let me pull that up here real quick. So according to the count, go ahead.
While you're looking for that, I was just going to talk about, there's peaceful protest, which we fully support. I think everybody needs to remember that you need to wear your mask. I heard somewhere again a study that said 50 to 75% less likelihood of transmitting or catching this virus if you're wearing a mask. We're obviously, I'm not wearing a mask right now because you're not here, and I'm not within 20 feet of somebody else right now. Well, maybe about 15 feet. And so if you're going to be in a peaceful protest this weekend, especially the one they're having here in downtown, I think tonight and possibly later in the weekend, Sunday, we're actually going to do some things out here for that, but we're going to be very conscious of the area we're occupying, and that you need to be wearing a mask. If you're doing a peaceful protest, you know, numbers matter. So obviously you're going to expect to see people. You need to have a mask. Okay. So I don't think there's a problem getting masks here locally, if I'm not mistaken. Am I wrong by saying that, Doc? Or?
No, I've heard of no shortages at all. Even just the homemade cloth ones, like the, not that the medical grade ones. I mean, there's no shortage of masks that you can get in town.
All right. We're going to try in the morning to get some masks for Sunday to have here at the office on the right outside the door, so we can just have them out there. So if you get down here and something happens to your mask, we're going to have some until we run out at the front door, and we'll just put them out for people to use. I'll be here part of the day. Michelle will be here part of the day. And then we've got an artist that's coming to do some George Floyd, Black Lives Matter graffiti art. Also, we're going to do some support the police type stuff, because, you know, I'd say a majority of the police out there are doing a woman's job as keeping us safe. And there is I feel like there's a systemic problem with racism everywhere, not just the police departments. There certainly is a large majority of police that are doing work protecting us and are trying to do everything fairly. So at the same time, there is a major problem that needs to be addressed, we all know, and the peaceful protest, in my opinion, is having a humongous positive effect on the world. And so we're in full support of that. And who's going to keep us safe in doing a peaceful protest? The police are going to keep us safe to be able to do the peaceful protest. So anyway, whoever wants a mask is going to get one right on the doorstep until we run out, okay? But we're going to go back to, we had considered the idea of bringing the full staff back. We're not going to do that now. We've had a skeleton staff or no staff for, this is probably the 15th week, I guess, or something like that.
Yeah.
And next week, we're going to actually scale back a little bit to watch these numbers hopefully start trailing down again, and to make sure they're not trailing up, rather. And so what was that you were going to say about the ICU beds, Dr.?
So they've been publishing this every day in the county, and so countywide the capacity for hospital beds is 1,400 beds, and right now the current occupancy is 986. So they'll leave just over 400 beds available, and those numbers are a lot higher than they were back, I guess, in April. Because well, I'll remind you that because the hospitalizations for the illness for COVID have not gone up dramatically at this point, but the reason why the occupancy is and capacity is different is because there's elective procedures that are going on now, and so the elective procedures mean a day or two in the hospital. So those are otherwise healthy people that are in there for, you know, an orthopedic procedure, things like that.
What percent of ventilators are still available, I guess is what.
Okay, yeah. So there's 207 total ventilators available, and 161. I'm sorry, there are 207 in the county, and 161 are available. Okay. So that also shows you that the people that are in the hospital aren't in ICUs and aren't ventilator dependent. So these ventilators are available, you know, should they get to that.
We've been contacted by the Miami Herald this week. We're doing an interview Monday, I think, or Monday, on the Southern Oaks, because we represent a couple of folks at the Southern Oaks nursing home whose family member was unfortunately succumbed to the virus. And do we know what percentage of the deaths in Escambia County as of today or those folks that were in a nursing home? Do we have that number?
The deaths, last I heard, there were somewhere around 30 of the 37 deaths were long-term care facility related, but I don't have the exact number for Southern Oaks. We can probably get that pulled up.
30 of the 37 in Escambia County were long-term care facilities. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, as far as deaths, and then right now, countywide, over a third of our incidents of infections have been in long-term care facilities as well.
All right.
36%.
Obviously, the state's newspaper that feeds the largest population, the Miami Herald, has keyed on to our county for obvious reasons, right? And so they are interested in the Southern Oaks situation, obviously, and they are, to their credit, they have reporters that are asking all the right questions, in my opinion. And so my hope is that article is informative enough for the public, and hopefully motivates these facilities to take all the precautions necessary to keep their residents safe. All right. What are you doing differently in your personal life, Dr. Malone?
Not much. I mean, you've seen me when I'm around the office. I'm always carrying my little bottle of hand sanitizer, and I think that's just something where I like you. I'm not able to not touch my face, so I'm wearing this thing out, and then I've been wiping my workspaces down when I get here early in the morning, trying to beat everybody here, get my area cleaned up and ready to work. So that's.
And so we had talked about staggering the staff, because a lot of staff wants to come back in. I think a lot of people are having issues at their house, working around their families, and they're just ready to get out, I think. And so in order to accommodate everybody, but also keep everybody distant, even though there's 15,000 square feet, we're going to have to stagger, I guess, the staff here. Have some people working alternate days at home and making sure we keep the space and the distance requirements and honor the mask. I think we had been asking people not to come in the firm, to do virtual meetings. We had a couple of in-person meetings this week. We're going to pull back on that again next week, I think, until we see what's going on. We have 2 mediations scheduled and 2 medical malpractice death cases next week. They're both scheduled via Zoom. But we're still fully functioning. Obviously, we're busy handling a lot of car wreck cases, bicycle wreck, as y'all know from the social media this week. We're going to keep an eye on this COVID stuff. Dr. Malone's going to come in and tell us if we feel like the public would benefit from a board-certified internal medicine physician talking to you about, the virus and things that are going on. His information is very helpful. It helps me at least to have a physician analyze this data for us that's publicly available and tell us what it means, right? And that's the reason I think that it's so helpful to have Dr. Malone, you to do this for us. Thank you for doing that again. And we will certainly keep it up. And next week, if there's a reason to do another video with you, we'll make sure we get online and do it. If you need to get in touch with us, zarzaurlaw.com, 855-HIRE-JOE. Doctor, I didn't mean to cut you off. Do you have something else to say?
Nope. I was just going to say thank you, and it's an honor and a pleasure.
All right. Y'all take care. Be safe and distance and use your mask this weekend. Okay, we'll see you out at the peaceful protest. Bye-bye.